Take a break from your busy schedule and join Harold Sala for Guidelines, a 5-minute commentary on living.
The Garden of Eden, so say archaeologists, was located in the Tigris-Euphrates River Valley. Now, the Bible doesn't actually say where the garden was located, but it is well possible that there Adam and Eve reproduced and eventually established cities and communities. Eventually, writing developed, and on pieces of pottery, merchants recorded business transactions. Then, covenants and agreements between individuals were recorded. People soon discovered that unless something is publicly recorded and witnessed, we tend to forget what we agreed upon. And believe it or not, among the first written documents were marriage covenants, not a great deal different than we have today. Eventually, however, covenants fell into two categories, according to Dr. Meredith Klein, author of the book Treaties of the Great King. The first group were covenants among equals. Say, for example, two kings, and the other would be covenants between individuals of differing social status. Say, between a king and the man who worked for him, plowing his field or farming a piece of plot owned by the king. Now, when God made covenants with men, the same general format of agreement was drafted as those relating to business and relationships. There was a section known as a preamble. It mentioned the names of the persons entering into the covenant. Then came the body of the agreement, followed by penalties if the covenant was broken, and finally the signatures or the marks of those who made the agreement, often certified with blood. Actually, the Hebrew word for covenant, berith, means literally to cut something. Usually an animal was slain, and as the two parties ate together, they affirmed their oaths, sometimes made by grasping the other person, affirming that the covenant was binding upon them and their children, and their children's children. In those days, when two people made a covenant, it was meant to last for a lifetime. How different was the attitude of a bride who was about to walk down the aisle, who flippantly turned to a bridesmaid and said, "Well, I think I'll give it a try, and if it doesn't work out, I can always divorce him and try again." For centuries, at least in the Western world, when two people have met at the marriage altar, they pledged themselves each to the other, "till death us do part." It's part of the wording of the traditional Episcopal wedding ceremony. Today, there is a movement affirming covenant marriage. It helps couples to understand that the kind of a marriage which will survive in a world of broken promises, broken hearts, and broken relationships is exclusively the kind that never considers anything but staying in a marriage. Forget about relationships bound only by the strength of saying, "as long as we both shall agree." Now, a covenant is different from an agreement which can be terminated when you change your mind. Covenants are meant to be for a lifetime. They are lasting and enduring. Frankly, the temperature of the heart changes with the seasons of life, the ups and downs, the for better or worse times of life. Covenant marriages have the blessing and help of God. And frankly, that's the difference between making marriage work and simply being married, which results in failure in far too many cases. "Dear," said a gray-haired wife, "why don't you ever tell me that you love me like you used to do years ago?" "Well," he drawled, "remember I told you that I loved you when we got married, and I also told you then that if I ever changed my mind, I'd tell you that too." He smiled and said, "And I've never changed my mind."
You've just heard Dr. Harold Sala with Guidelines, a 5-minute commentary on living. If you would like to listen to the program again, download a copy, subscribe to our e-commentary, or view other resources, visit guidelines.org. We would like to hear from you too. You can email us at info@guidelines.org. That's info@guidelines.org. Thanks for listening, and we invite you to join us again for the next edition of Guidelines.